Have you ever caught a subtle but stubborn scent, almost like urine, that seems to follow you? No matter how often you shower, change clothes, or freshen up, it clings silently, showing up when you least expect it at a family dinner in the car, with a friend, or right after a morning bath. If you're over 60, you're not imagining things, and you're certainly not alone. What if I told you this isn't just aging or bad luck? What if I told you that this frustrating, confidence shaking issue is often caused by a handful of everyday habits that many of us carry for years without realizing they're working against us? In this video, we're going to gently peel back the curtain on 7 of the most common hygiene mistakes that can leave women over 60 feeling less than fresh. So, why should you keep watching? Because understanding these often overlooked missteps could be the key to reclaiming your sense of cleanliness, dignity, and self confidence. And the best part, each issue we discuss comes with a practical doctor recommended solution you can begin using today. Real advice, real change. Before we jump in, take a moment to like this video. Your support helps me continue creating content that speaks directly to the challenges women face in their golden years. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Hit that bell icon so you never miss another tip that could change the way you feel about aging. Let's begin with one of the most hush-hush topics, light bladder leaks. Ignoring light leaks. Let's be honest, this is not something we talk about over brunch or during book club. Light bladder leakage feels like a secret, a little embarrassment we carry around in silence. But it's far more common than you think. We're not talking about major accidents. These are small, unexpected leaks that sneak in when you laugh too hard, sneeze unexpectedly, or lift something heavy. I used to brush it off. I must have drunk too much tea today, I'd think, or that was just a one-time thing. But gradually I noticed something unsettling, a faint odor that lingered, no matter how clean I thought I was. At first I blamed everything else, my detergent, my sofa, my hormones. It never occurred to me that these tiny leaks were silently staining my clothes, soaking into fabrics, and clinging to my skin. And here's something we often forget: as we age, our sense of smell can weaken. So while you may not notice that faint scent anymore, others around you might. I still remember one moment vividly. My daughter-in-law leaned over during a family gathering and whispered kindly, "Maybe you should change your sweater. It smells like the couch." My heart sank. But that moment was the wake-up call I didn't know I needed. Doctors say that even minimal leaks, if left unaddressed, can lead to persistent odors and discomfort. The good news: there are discreet life-changing solutions available, like moisture-wicking underwear, designed for light incontinence, or thin liners you can wear throughout the day. They're not bulky. They don't feel awkward. And most importantly, they work. Once I made the switch, it felt like a burden had been lifted. No more second-guessing hugs or long car rides. No more self-consciousness at dinner tables. Just comfort and quiet confidence. So if you're experiencing those small leaks, don't brush them aside. You're not alone, and you're not powerless. Using the wrong soaps. If you're anything like me, you grew up believing that the stronger the soap, the cleaner you'd be. My bathroom shelves were lined with every scent imaginable: lavender, citrus, ocean breeze, you name it. I scrubbed like I was trying to erase the day. But I didn't realize that as I aged, my skin, especially in sensitive areas, was changing. It was thinner, drier, and far more delicate than before. Those heavily perfumed body washes were stripping away my skin's natural oils, irritating it and disrupting the pH balance that helps keep bacteria at bay. Ironically, the very products I used to smell fresh were causing more problems than they solved. One day, after a long shower with my favorite floral soap, I caught a musty scent by lunchtime. How I had just scrubbed every inch of my skin. It didn't make sense until I spoke with my doctor. She told me something I'll never forget. Sometimes staying clean isn't about scrubbing harder, it's about being gentler. Her advice: ditch the perfume-heavy soaps and use a mild, fragrance-free cleanser, or in some cases, just warm water. Skeptical but curious, I gave it a shot. I traded my tropical breeze gel for a gentle, hypoallergenic soap. The difference was astonishing. Within days, my skin felt calmer, the irritation vanished, and that midday smell, gone. If you're still reaching for strong scented soaps, believing they're your ticket to freshness, stop. Less truly is more. Treat your skin with kindness and it will return the favor. Forgetting to change liners and pads regularly, let me ask you a personal question. When was the last time you changed your liner? Not because it was soaked, but just as a routine part of your hygiene. And I used to pop one in the morning and forget about it. After all, if it didn't feel wet, it must still be good, right? Plus, those products aren't cheap. Why replace something that doesn't seem used up? But here's the truth. Even if a liner doesn't feel damp, it can still be harboring bacteria and odor. These products are designed to absorb moisture, yes, but they also collect sweat, discharge, and microscopic traces of urine that aren't always visible. Leave them in too long, and you're giving bacteria the perfect environment to multiply. And let's be real, many of us are creatures of habit. If we've been wearing liners the same way for years, it feels natural to assume we're doing it right. I thought so too until I started noticing irritation and a mild odor despite daily showers. That's when I made a small change with a huge impact. I started swapping out my liner midway through the day. Not because it was soaked, but because I wanted to stay ahead of any potential discomfort. And it worked. That lingering unease I used to feel, gone. Remember, hygiene isn't just about feeling clean, it's about staying fresh throughout your day. Even small adjustments like this one can make all the difference. If you've made it this far, thank you. That tells me you care deeply about taking charge of your health and confidence as you age, and trust me, the tips still to come are just as essential. Comment below with a simple one if you're still watching so I know you're here with me. And if any of this has struck a chord, share it with someone who might benefit too. Because no one should go through this stage of life feeling unsure, embarrassed, or alone. Let's continue. Let's pick up where we left off. Those little habits we've carried for years can have a surprising impact on our comfort and confidence. And one of the sneakiest culprits, how we use liners and pads. Forgetting to change liners and pads regularly. You might think, well, it still feels dry, so it must be fine. I used to think the same. I'd pop in a liner in the morning and go about my day, often wearing the same one until bedtime. I wasn't being careless, just practical. If it didn't feel wet, why waste a new one, right? Sometimes I'd go through a whole pack in a week, other times it'd last much longer. But what I didn't understand back then is something my doctor explained in very simple but eye-opening terms. Even if a liner or pad feels dry on the surface, it's still quietly soaking up tiny amounts of moisture throughout the day. Our bodies naturally release more than we realize, especially as we move sweat or deal with minor leaks. That hidden moisture creates a warm, damp environment, which just so happens to be the perfect setting for bacteria to multiply. And bacteria, they bring odors with them. I started noticing it more on busy days when I was out running errands, walking around the park, or having lunch with friends. By the evening, there was a faint, sour smell I couldn't quite explain. At first, I blamed everything else. Maybe my deodorant wasn't strong enough, maybe my clothes hadn't dried properly, maybe the smell was coming from outside. But deep down, I knew it was something more personal. That's when I had a conversation with my doctor that changed everything. She explained that liners and pads need to be changed every few hours, regardless of whether they feel wet. It's not about being wasteful, it's about staying clean and safe. The bacteria don't care if your liner looks brand new. If there's hidden moisture, they're setting up camp. So I made the switch. I started carrying a small pouch with a few fresh liners in my purse, easy to access, discreet, and convenient. Whether I was at the office or enjoying a day out, I made it a habit to change my liner at least twice a day. And let me tell you, the difference was immediate. That lingering smell vanished, and more importantly, I felt fresher, cleaner, and much more confident. I also discovered reusable, washable liners. Not only are they budget-friendly in the long run, but they're also softer and more breathable than many disposable options. It was a small step, but it had a big impact on my comfort. So if you're wearing the same liner from sunrise to sunset, it's time to rethink that routine. Your skin deserves better care, and once you make this one little change, you'll feel the difference too. Wearing synthetic underwear. For the longest time, I thought I had cracked the comfort code stretchy, smooth synthetic underwear. They were affordable, stylish, came in all my favorite colors and patterns, and best of all, they didn't ride up. What more could a woman ask for? But no matter how often I showered, I started to feel off, damp, uncomfortable. And on some days, there was this faint but persistent odor that lingered, no matter how much body spray I used. I began checking everything: was it my detergent, my laundry routine, my diet? Nothing seemed to fix it. Finally, I brought it up during a routine checkup. My doctor barely blinked before giving me the answer. Synthetic underwear was the hidden villain. Fabrics like polyester and nylon, though soft and stretchy, trap heat and moisture. They suffocate your skin, especially in intimate areas, creating the perfect environment for bacteria. And for women over 60, especially those dealing with light bladder leaks, hormonal changes, or postmenopausal dryness, this can be a recipe for constant discomfort. Her advice was refreshingly simple: switch to cotton. Always cotton. At first, I hesitated. Cotton underwear. That sounded dull, something my grandmother would wear. Plain practical and totally unappealing. But I was desperate, so I gave it a try. I cleaned out my underwear drawer and bought a few pairs of 100% cotton underwear in neutral tones. To my surprise, they weren't boring at all. There were plenty of flattering modern styles that still felt soft and breathable. And the result? Incredible. Within days, I noticed the difference. The constant dampness disappeared. My laundry smelled fresher, and that clingy odor gone. For the first time in months, I felt confident, again hugging friends, sitting in meetings, moving freely without that nagging worry in the back of my mind. Sometimes the smallest choices we make every day can have the biggest impact. So if you're still holding on to those synthetic panties because they're familiar or fashionable, do yourself a favor, make the switch. Your skin, your nose, and your peace of mind will thank you. Not drinking enough water. Now here's one that might surprise you. For years, I thought I was being clever by drinking less water. My logic was simple: if I drank less, I'd need fewer bathroom breaks. That meant fewer awkward moments in public, fewer long walks to find a restroom, and less worry during long car rides or outings. It seemed practical, even smart, especially as I started to deal with occasional bladder sensitivity. Less water and less urgency out. Problem solved, right? Wrong. What I didn't realize was how badly this habit was backfiring. By cutting back on water, I wasn't just reducing my bathroom visits, I was changing the way my body functioned. One of the biggest changes. The smell of my urine. Dehydration causes urine to become highly concentrated. It darkens, often turning amber in color, and it smells sharp, sometimes almost chemical-like. Even small leaks, which might otherwise go unnoticed, suddenly become sources of strong, lingering odor. And that odor, it clings. It stays on your clothes, your skin, and even the furniture you sit on. I remember blaming the smell on aging, thinking it was just something I had to accept. But it wasn't age, it was dehydration. The turning point came when I decided to test a theory. What if I simply drank more water? I didn't go overboard, just started sipping water throughout the day, keeping a glass nearby at all times. The results were almost immediate. My urine lightened in color, the strong smell faded, and I felt better overall. Even my skin looked brighter, more hydrated. Drinking more water didn't make my bladder less predictable, but it did make my body cleaner from the inside out. And surprisingly, I found that once I got into the habit, the frequent bathroom visits weren't as bad as I feared. In fact, they became a healthy rhythm, giving me small breaks throughout my day to pause and check in with myself. So if you've been holding back on hydration in hopes of avoiding discomfort, it's time to rethink that strategy. Water isn't the enemy. It's one of your greatest allies in feeling and smelling your best. Sitting too long without washing up. Let me be candid with you. After I retired, my daily rhythm slowed down. I no longer had to rush out the door in the mornings or hustle between commitments. My days became gentler, filled with cozy reading sessions, long stretches of time, watching my favorite shows, or leisurely mornings spent in my favorite robe, sipping tea and tackling crossword puzzles. At first, it felt like a well-deserved reward after years of living in overdrive. And truthfully, I reveled in it. Some mornings I didn't get out of my nightgown until well past noon. It felt indulgent, soft, and peaceful. But there was something quietly brewing beneath the surface, something I didn't notice until it became hard to ignore. The longer I sat, especially in warm, snug clothes or soft padded chairs, the more I unknowingly created a humid little ecosystem right around my pelvic area. Think about it: natural body heat, sweat, and even minor leaks, all building up in a space that wasn't getting any ventilation. I wasn't moving around, I wasn't freshening up, and that meant one thing: bacteria. At first, I didn't detect anything unusual. Our bodies are incredibly adaptable, and sometimes we don't realize the gradual changes that are taking place. But over time, I began to notice a faint odor that didn't seem to go away even after showers. A subtle but persistent scent that clung to my clothes and eventually to my confidence. The breaking point came unexpectedly during a visit from my granddaughter. As she climbed into my lap, as she often did, she paused, wrinkled her nose, and said, "With the innocence only a child can muster, Grandma, you smell like something wet. Ouch." She didn't mean to hurt me, but her words hit hard. Because they were true. I had let myself slip into habits that weren't serving me, and I knew I needed to make a change. That moment prompted a total rethinking of my routine. I started by getting up more often, at least once every hour. Even just a stroll to the kitchen to grab a glass of water or a few stretches in the living room made a big difference. Movement, it turns out, isn't just for your muscles, it's for your hygiene too. I also introduced a midday hygiene ritual. Just a few minutes with warm water and a soft cloth helped me feel refreshed. No need for fancy products or long routines, just gentle, consistent care. I began changing into clean clothes daily, even if I hadn't left the house. It wasn't about appearances, it was about respect for my body and how I felt in it. You see, staying clean isn't just about showers, it's about what happens between them. Breaking up long stretches of sitting and freshening up during the day can help you stay ahead of discomfort and reclaim your sense of dignity. If you're still with me and this is resonating, leave a comment with the number 3 below. Let's continue supporting each other through these small but powerful shifts. Neglecting the laundry routine. Now let's talk about laundry. Not towels or sheets, we all remember to wash those. I'm talking about the little things: underwear, pajama bottoms, cozy lounge pants, nightgowns. The soft, stretchy, comfortable things we wear when we're just relaxing around the house. Here's the truth: I used to be a bit lax about these items. If they didn't have a visible stain or smell, I figured they were fine to wear again. Why toss them into the wash when I'd only worn them around the house for a few hours? It seemed reasonable. But over time, something started to shift. Even freshly showered, I began to notice that by mid-morning, my pants or gown didn't feel fresh. There was a faint odor, nothing dramatic, but enough to make me second-guess myself. Was it me or was it the clothes? Turns out it was both. Doctors and hygiene experts have long pointed out that even small amounts of sweat natural oils from our skin or tiny leaks can cling to fabric, especially in tight-fitting or synthetic materials. Polyester, spandex, and other common fabrics don't breathe well. They trap heat and moisture, which means bacteria and odors stick around. And if those fabrics aren't washed thoroughly, the problem builds. Mild detergents, cold water, or quick cycles might not be enough to fully eliminate bacteria. So even if your clothes look clean, they might be carrying a smell that undermines everything else you're doing to stay fresh. For me, the turning point came when I decided to overhaul my laundry habits. I started separating my intimate items, underwear, lounge pants, and sleepwear from my regular laundry. I washed them in hot water with a splash of white vinegar to neutralize odors and kill bacteria. I made sure they dried completely because damp clothes are a breeding ground for mildew and mustiness. And I stopped re-wearing anything that hadn't been washed, no matter how clean it appeared. That shift was empowering. Suddenly, my fresh shower feeling lasted all day. My clothes felt cleaner, smelled better, and gave me a quiet confidence I didn't realize I'd been missing. Takes a little more effort, yes, but the result is worth every second. Clean clothes aren't just about hygiene, they're about how you show up for yourself. So ladies, we've walked through 7 powerful yet practical shifts that can transform how you feel inside and out. From changing liners more often, to switching to breathable fabrics, to staying hydrated and giving your laundry routine the care it deserves, each tip is designed to help you feel your best every day. Which of these tips spoke to you the most? Was it something you hadn't considered before? Something you've already started doing? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your takeaway. And if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Together, we're building a space of dignity, self-care, and confidence for women just like you. Until next time, take care of your body, because it's never too late to feel proud of the skin you're in and to treat yourself with the gentle care you truly deserve.